Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. Today we're going to talk about dividing rational expressions. So this is a bit of a review from basic math, but we're also going to throw in some variables too, kind of like we did the last lesson with multiplication of rational expressions. So we'll start out here with some basic number fractions first. And we're just, again, this is just kind of a review, so whoops, I think I had it backwards here. Should be 5/3, I'm pretty sure. No, it was 3/5, I was right. But if you're unsure how to do this, I do have a video in Basic Math 1 about dividing fractions. I would definitely check that out as it goes more in depth. But this is just a review here. So let's say we have 1/4 divided by 3/5. Well, if we remember, when we divide by a number, that's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So you'll still have the 1/4, but that divided by 3/5, that becomes multiplying by 5/3. You invert and multiply. You multiply by the reciprocal. So now you're left with a multiplication of fractions. Anything cancel out? Definitely not. So 1 times 5 in the numerator, you'll have 5. 4 times 3 in the denominator, well, you'll have 12. So the answer you should get for this is 5/12. Alright. Next we have 2/9 divided by -2/9. So we have 2/9 divided by -2/9. Well, once again, since it's dividing by a fraction, we invert and multiply. So you'll have 2/9 times -9/2. Immediately we see we can cancel 2's. The 9's will cancel out. What you're left with is 1/1 times -1/1, which would simply just be -1. So the answer you should get for this is -1. Alright, last number one before we move on to some variables. So we have 6 2/3 divided by 5. So 6 2/3 divided by 5. What I would suggest doing first, before you even deal with the division, is convert that 6 2/3, that mixed number, into an improper fraction. So we'll take 3 times 6 being 18 plus 2 is 20. That'll be 20/3 divided by 5. Now we can invert and multiply, because that divided by 5 is really divided by 5/1. If we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of 5, that would be multiplying by 1/5. We'd have 1/5 as the reciprocal of 5. Look for anything that can cancel out. Definitely between 5 and 20 you can cancel. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. What you're left with is 4/3 times 1/1, or just simply 4/3, which is one way you can write this, is 4/3. If the teacher wanted the mixed number form, it would be 1 1/3. So either form is acceptable depending upon what your teacher wants. It's 4/3 or 1 1/3. Alright. Now we got some variables. We have a/7 divided by a over 42. So a over 7 divided by a over 42. Well, of course, like you would with any other dividing by fractions, you'll invert and multiply. You'll have a over 7 times 42 over a. Now we see that definitely the a's will cancel when you're multiplying. Between 7 and 42, 7 is a factor of 42, so 7 divided by 7 is 1. 42 divided by 7 is 6. So what you're left with is 1 over 1 times 6 over 1, which would just simply give you 6. So the answer is 6. Alright, next we have 10 over 3x divided by 5 over 2x. So 10 over 3x divided by 5 over 2x. Well, like you would any others, just invert and multiply the second fraction. You'll have 10 over 3x times 2x over 5. Okay, what cancels here? Definitely the x's. The x's will cancel. You have no x's now. Those cancel. What else cancels? Well, 5 and 10. 5 is a factor of 10, so you divide 5 by 5, you'll get 1. Divide 10 by 5, you get 2. So what you're left with here is 2 over 3 times 2 over 1. You do the multiplication, you'll get 4 over 3. So the answer to this is going to be 4 over 3. All right. Now we have c over 8 divided by cd over 5. So c over 8 divided by cd over 5. Once again, invert and multiply your second fraction, so you'll have c over 8 times 5 over cd. Look for anything that'll cancel out. Definitely the c's. Those are gone. So what you're left with is 1 over 8 times 5 over d. So when you do the multiplication, you'll have 5 over 8d. That would be what you would get, is 5 over 8d. Alright. Then we got 3 more and that'll be it. Alright, let's see. We got 5s over t times, no, not times, excuse me, divided by 6rs over t. Okay, so like you would any other fraction, when you divide by the fraction, you invert and multiply. So you'll have 5s over t times t over 6rs. Now we're doing the multiplication. Let's look for anything that'll cancel out. Immediately we see the t's go away. Those go away. We're good with that. We have an s in the numerator, an s in the denominator. The s's will cancel out. So what you're going to be left with is 5 over 1 times 1 over 6r. So we do the multiplication, you'll have 5 over 6r. And that would be what you get is 5 over 6r. All right, two more. We have k cubed over 9 divided by k over 24. So we have k to the third power over 9 divided by k over 24. So first we'll invert and multiply. You have k cubed over 9 times 24 over k. Let's look for anything that'll cancel out. We'll deal with the variables in a second here. But 24 and 9, there's a common factor of 3 between them. You divide 9 by 3, you get 3. Divide 24 by 3, you get 8. So what you're left with is k to the third power over 3 times 8 over k. Alright, I would now go ahead and do the multiplication because we got the same variable, but one's raised to a higher power. In this case, you'll get 8k to the third power over 3k. Alright, well, what we got to remember, when we divide exponents, when we divide a variable that has exponents in it, you subtract the powers. So what you're going to have is 8 times k, that'll be to the third power. You do the power in the numerator minus the power in the denominator. 8 times k to the 3 minus 1 over 3. Which, if we simplify this further, you'll still have 8 in the numerator. K to the 3 minus 1 is k to the second power. Then you'll have 3 in the denominator. And this simplifies no further. So what you should get is 8k to the second power divided by 3. And that's all we can do for that one. All right, one more problem. We have 2s over t to the second power divided by st to the third power over 8. All right. So, of course, like you would with any other fraction, invert and multiply. You'll have 2s over t to the second power times 8 over st to the third power. Okay. Let's look for anything that cancels out between the numerator and denominator. The only thing that really seems to strike us is going to be the s. The s cancels out, nothing else seems to. So what you'll have is 2 over t to the second power times 8 over t to the third power. Well, what you can do, there's a couple ways we can do this. Well, let's multiply these. You'll have 2 times 8 is 16. Now, you could have moved those t's into the numerator and had negative powers, and then when you multiply, you would have added them, and then you would have had to put the power back in the denominator. What you can do, since both of these powers are in the denominator, you can just do the multiplication of exponents trick, where you can leave it in the denominator and you can add the powers, because remember, when you multiply powers, when you multiply exponents, you add the powers together. So you have 16 over t to the 2 plus 3, which would equal 16 over, what's t to the 2 plus 3 is t to the 5th. So what you would get is 16 over t to the 5th. You could have done 2 times t to the negative second times 8 times t to the negative third. You would have gotten 16t to the negative 5th, then you would have had to drop the t to the negative 5th down to the denominator, who would have been t to the positive 5th anyway. I just basically saved us some steps. So if they're both in the denominator, you can leave them alone and just do the multiplication there, or adding the powers there. So that's a trick you can use. But that's it for this lesson. Basically, if you remember division of numbers is just the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, you're good. You can do this. Next lesson's going to be least common multiples. That's going to set us up to add and subtract fractions, which would be a little bit of a review of basic fractions, but we're going to have variable fractions with that too. So I hope everyone has a good day. Take care.